Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Days Podcast along with a new video. So I wanted to talk about a group. We haven't really talked about groups yet. We've talked about more or less just artists and who they may have featured with in their albums respectively so far. We will be talking about more. As far as with Patreon and Spotify, be sure to check them out for exclusives. I will be posting more. I have been working on just enough to be able to post just at the right time. So bear with me. But yes, like and subscribe. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for following. And I truly appreciate it. So let's get into it. So the group that we are going to talk about today is the Spice Girls. So I was meaning to talk about the Spice Girls a while ago. I said to myself, I want to talk about groups because I know that, I was meaning to talk about the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons, so we'll talk about that too. But I wanted to make sure I talk about girl groups as well. So what better way is to start talking about girl groups and more over time, and here we are. So we're going to talk about the Spice Girls' first album, Spice. It'll pretty much give us a background of who they are and just how the album came about. So let's get into it. So Spice is the debut album that was by the English girl group, the Spice Girls, released in Japan on September 19th, 1996, and in the United Kingdom on November 4th, 1996 by Virgin Records. The album was recorded between 1995 and 1996 at Olympic Studios in Barnes, London, and Strong Room Studios in Shoreditch, London, by producers Matt Rowe and Richard Stanton, and the production duo Absolute. Spice is a pop album that incorporates styles such as dance, R&B, and hip-hop. It is considered to be the record that brought teen pop back, opening the doors for a wave of teen pop artists. Conceptually, the album certified on the idea of girl power, and the hype surrounding the group was compared to Beatlemania. This was a big deal. Even though it's just about 40 minutes long of music, it was a big deal. Like, these girls were not playing nobody. They wanted to be able to do this. A worldwide commercial success, Spice topped the charts in more than 17 countries across the world and was certified multi-platinum in 27 countries, platinum in 14 countries, and gold in 3 countries, including 10 times platinum in the United Kingdom and Canada, 8 times platinum in Europe, and 7 times platinum in the United States. It became the world's top-selling album of 1997, selling 19 million copies in over a year. The album has sold a total of 23 million copies worldwide, becoming the best-selling album in music history by a girl group and one of the best-selling albums of all time. So yeah, becoming the best-selling album in music history by a girl group and one of the best-selling albums of all time. Like, these girls, they like, these women, I should say, they went off. And it was recorded in 1995 going into 96, and they was not playing at all. 4 singles were released from the album. The lead single, Wannabe, reached number 1 in 37 countries, becoming one of the best-selling singles of all time as of 2010 by selling over 6 million copies worldwide. The next 2 singles, Say You'll Be There and To Become One, reached number 1 in 53 countries. Who Do You Think You Are was released as the official comic relief single in the UK as a double A side with Mama, and both songs reached the top 20 in charts across Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. In the band's native UK, all 4 singles went to number 1 on the UK singles chart and on Billboard. The album spawned 3 top 5 singles. So I'm trying to tell you, they were nothing to play with. Yes, Wannabe was released June 26, 1996. So Wannabe's gonna have an anniversary soon. Say You'll Be There, October 14th, 1996. To Become One, December 16th, 1996. Mama / Who Do You Think You Are, March 3rd, 1997. So yes, the background. In February 1994, Chris and Bob Herbert, who together with financier Chris Cheek Murphy, I think, traded under the business name of Heart Management, placed in advert in the Stage magazine, which asks the question, are you street smart, extrovert, ambitious, and able to sing and dance? The management received hundreds of replies, but eventually reduced their search down to a final group of 5 girls: Victoria Beckham, Mel B, Melanie C, Jerry Hallwell, and Michelle Stevenson. Yes. And the new band was originally called Touch. It moved to a house in Maidenhead. Emma Bunton, yes, here we go. Yes, Emma, big space, yes, was the last to join after Stevenson dropped out when her mother became ill. The group felt insecure about the lack of contracts and was frustrated by the direction in which Heart Management was steering them. In October 1994, armed with a catalog of demos and dance routines, the group began touring management agencies. They started to meet with producers, musicians, and other business executives, among which were composer Tim Hawes and writers Richard Stannard and Matthew Rowe. Hawes worked with the group and watched the evolution in their singing and writing abilities. Together they composed a song called Sugar and Spice, which served as the inspiration behind the change of the group's name to Spice. Eventually the name was changed again to Spice Girls due to an American rapper using the name Spice at the time. On March 3rd, 1995, because of the group's frustration at their management's unwillingness to listen to their visions and ideas, they parted from Heart Management. The group stole the master recordings of their discography from the management offices in order to ensure they kept full control of their work. So it got to a point that they was in a really bad deal, allegedly, and they had to literally get all of their music and just move on. Like literally, like, all right, we just did all this work and you mean to tell me you don't know what we're gonna do next? Oh no, this can't happen. So they got their masses and was gone. The group was supposed to meet with producer Elliot Kennedy the week after they left their former managers, but the meeting was arranged by the Herberts weeks before their departure. But without access to Herbert's address book, they knew nothing of Kennedy's whereabouts other than he lived in Sheffield. Mel B and Hallwell drove to Sheffield the day after the departure from Heart Management and looked for the first phone book they came across. Elliot was the third Kennedy they called. That evening they went to his house and persuaded him to work with them. The rest of the girls traveled to Sheffield the next day. Kennedy commented about the session. None of them played instruments, so I was left to do the music and get that vibe together. What I said to them was, look, I've got a chorus, check this out. Then they were throwing lines at us. 10 minutes later, the song was written. Then you go through and refine it. Then later, as you were recording it, you might change a few things here and there, but pretty much it was a real quick process. 4 tracks were composed in that session: Love Thing, Say You'll Be There, Step to Me, which was released later, and Strong Enough. In the following months, the group continued to meet with producers, wrote new songs, prepared demos, and searched for a new management. They met again with the writers Stannard and Rowe. They had previously worked with the girls in January 1995 before their departure from Heart Management. That was the group's first professional songwriting session, held at Strong Room in Court Road, East London. In the first session with Stannard and Rowe, they wrote Feed Your Love, a slow, soulful song which was eventually recorded and mastered for the album, but not released because it was considered too rude and racy for their target audience. Having completed that session, the girls wanted to write something more up-tempo, so they started to write the song that would be the lead of the album, Wannabe, which was recorded in under an hour, mainly because they had already written parts of the songs beforehand. The next The next song they recorded was a slow ballad, and the third track on and single from the album To Become One. The song was inspired by the special relationship which had developed between Halliwell and Rowe during the session. Mama was written by the Spice Girls with songwriting partners Matt Rowe and Richard Stannard. In an interview about the writing process between the group and duo, Rowe credits Mel B as the one who came up with the song's concept. During the writing process, each member wrote a small verse in a different corner of the recording studio, while the chorus was finished under the piano with the guitar. Then the producers added a gospel choir filled with the group's harmonies at the end of the song. They also produced the album's last track, If You Can't Dance. In May 1995, the group was introduced to Paul Wilson and Andy Watkins, the songwriters and production duo known as Absolute. Watkins commented about their first meeting. They played us a few tracks, which we didn't particularly there's that word again, which we didn't particularly like. So we thought, this is okay, we can work with this. A songwriting session was booked within the next few days at Absolute's studio located on Tags Island near Chertsey. But the musical association between them did not seem to go well at the beginning. Wilson remembered, when they started to sing, it was never quite right from our point of view. It was very pop-tastic. Watkins recalled, after 2 sessions, we phoned our managers and said, this just ain't happening. It was at this point that Watkins and Wilson heard Wannabe for the first time. When speaking about the song, Wilson said, we listened to it and we didn't get it at all. It was so different to what we were doing. We thought, is this going to work? Ooh. Okay. The next session was the definite one. Either they would continue to work with the group or break up their relationship, Wilson recalled. Every previous time we'd meet up with the girls, we had prepared a backing track. This time we had nothing. Watkins also said they wanted to do something up and a bit of fun. So we just, off the top of our heads, started to come up with a full-on disco backing track, which became Who Do You Think You Are? Wilson said of the song, the thing is, when they wrote it, they were also writing the dance routine, constructing the music video all at the same time as writing the song. And that's when the penny dropped. The girls went on to write Something Kind of Funny, Last Time Lover, Naked, Bumper to Bumper, Take Me Home, One of These Girls, and Baby Come Around. And Watkins and Wilson, none of them singles, but all of them tracks, which lent a touch of classy R&B feel to the Spice album and singles. Absolute also produced all of these songs, as well as the three tracks penned with Elliot Kennedy. Say You'll Be There, Love Thing, and Later Step to Me, giving the duo a guiding hand in 6 of the 10 tracks that eventually ended up on Spice. The tracks that Absolute produced were recorded for the most part at Olympic Studios in Barnes. At this time in 1985, Auto-Tune had not yet come to market, and most of the vocals were recorded with few adjustments made afterwards. Okay, these are raw vocals. Okay, they could sing. Okay. Absolute told Simon Fuller about the group they had worked with and asked whether he would consider managing them. Fuller received the full demo of Something Kind of Funny, one of the songs the group wrote with Absolute. He showed interest in the group, began a relationship, and decided to sign them at 19 Management in March 1995. In September 1985, the group signed a deal with Virgin Records and continued to write and record tracks for their debut album while touring the west coast of the United States, where they signed a publishing deal with Windswept Pacific in November. The Spice Girls were fully involved in the writing of all the songs. Halliwell in particular was clearly a fund of ideas for songs, arriving at sessions with her book of jottings, notes, and miscellaneous scribblings, which often produced the starting point of a lyric or a song title or just an agenda for the day's work. Watkins commented, Jerry would come up with the concept for a song. Typically, she'd sing one line and the girls would pick up on it, or we'd pick up on it and construct around it. And then Melanie C. and Emma would be very active. They really like to sit and sing melodies and go off and come up with little sections. They conceptualized and sang bits of melody and wrote the lyrics, but in musical terms, it was not a partnership of equals. Rowe commented, we had to kind of steer it. It was very different for different tracks, really. Some of them were when we were all jamming in the room. We just put up some drum sounds and start making things up. Other tracks, me and Richard would prepare something beforehand and play it to them. We'd have some lyrics and make them write the second verse. The Spice Girls introduced two key innovations that have had a lasting impact on the way which modern pop acts go about their creative business. Firstly, they introduced the idea of songwriting identity. This was familiar in rock bands like Queen of the Sex Pistols, but not in the world of manufactured pop, where the credits of songwriting would be divided out strictly in accordance of who had written the song. The Spice Girls recognized their solidarity as a group, which depended on maintaining parity in all departments, including the songwriting credits and the resulting royalties. They shared the songwriting royalties on all the songs, irrespective of what any member of the group had or had not contributed to any particular song. The second thing the Spice Girls established from the outset was a straight 50-50 split between them and their various songwriting collaborators. I'm sorry, I don't know where contribution came from. I think I'm thinking of that. You know, you have those moments where you're like, contribution, like you're thinking of words as opposed that are attached. That was where my mind was. But anyway, yes, collaborators, songwriting collaborators. Here they anticipated one of the key developments in the pop industry since the 1990s, namely the increasing importance of publishing royalties as opposed to royalties payments made for the performance of the song on the record. So pretty much what that's saying is, at the time, more and more people were realizing, like, when you have writing credits and when you have a gift to write and you're producing and you're actually in the song, like singing and doing something in the song, like when you're doing multiple things and getting credited for, you get more money. And so a lot of times, you know, there were people that were more skilled in the talent and they may have not always wrote because they would have that niche with someone that could, and over time it was like, okay, I'm gonna write a few things. And then there's those that literally from gate, just they wrote everything from gate, had to make sure over time everything that was established through contribution and, you know, everything else, everything distributed, that it would show that all those things were, you know, given to that particular person that contributed, you know. And it's something because they wanted to make sure it was all fair. They wanted to make sure, hold on, there was an interview. Okay, so I'll read this right here. In an interview with Apple Music for the Spice 25 release, Melanie C divulged, we had a risque song called See You Next Tuesday, which was vetoed for the 25th anniversary edition, but I do have plans for it. It sounds like a Lily Allen song. It's absolutely brilliant. So they have other songs that they wanted to be able to release, as opposed to what they mostly made and just was like, listen, we're gonna see what happens. Okay, because it was, to be honest with you, it was a bit of a risk, as she said. As she said, it was risque just for even just putting that out. One song. There were other songs, even down to, let's just put it like this. Because, I'm going to go to the track list, but, in all fairness of so what it's saying is it received generally mixed reviews from pop music critics. Infectious, immaculately crafted pop, okay? They exude personality and charisma, The girls may not be ideal role models. Ooh. PG rated fantasies and come-ons. You know what? Well, they were grown. They were women. They were beyond 18, I believe. Damn near, young. They women. It was just female empowerment, more or less, in a group sense, and where it was just we out here, respect it. At the time, it just, listen, they letting people know. Commercial performance, it was compared to pretty much the Beatles. They was just, they did so much. Yeah, the album sold 10 million copies worldwide in its first 7 months. So on its anniversary, to mark the 25th anniversary of Wannabe, an EP of the group's debut single was released in July 2021 that included previous unreleased demos. On September 1st, 2021, the Spice Girls announced the re-release of Spice to mark the album's 25th anniversary, titled Spice 25. The deluxe double album was released on October 29th, 2021, and contains remixes, demos, and unreleased tracks. Also, the single version of To Become One was included as the third track on the album. Instead of the original album version, the CDs come in an A5 hardback booklet with a collection of iconic images and a set of 6 Spice Girls postcards, while the original album is also available on limited edition vinyl and cassette. The Spice 25 reissue saw the album re-enter the UK album charts at number 5 with 7,798 copies sold, while reaching number 3 on the official vinyl albums chart and number 4 on the official physical albums chart. So they still selling after all these years. So track 1, Wannabe, Legendary. That's where we was able to see them all be themselves, have different attire. They was dressed differently. They were moving differently. Everyone was their own selves, all collectively in one cohesive group. And then track 2, Say You'll Be There. I'm giving. Listen, don't let me get into it. Track 3, To Become One. Very soothing, just very. I can listen to that. Night Ride. Just looking at different scenery. Just I don't. It's just a beautiful song. It's just no skips. Love Thing, good song. I like Love Thing. Don't wanna know. Let me stop. All right. So track 5, Last Time Lover. That's an underrated song. I feel like people may have slept on that, because I feel like that's a more chill Say You'll Be There. You think I'm really cool and sexy. Come on. Mama, which is track 6. Track 7, which is Who Do You Think You Are Now. I'm gonna tell you, Mel C be hitting high notes, Mel B be hitting high notes, Emma be hitting high notes, Posh Victoria be hitting high notes, and they all hit high notes. They all go high, and I'm trying to tell you, just it all depends on which song that you hear. They all be having their moments, okay? Something Kind of Funny, Naked. So that's Something Kind of Funny being track 8, Naked being track 9, and then track 10 is If You Can't Dance. So yeah, for me, I thought it was a great album. It's still a great album. It charted, all I'm seeing is ones. I'm seeing ones in Japan, Japanese, albums, it says number 7. See, they need a little bit more time. No, but number 1 in Iceland, Icelandic albums, Irish, New Zealand, Portuguese, Scottish, Spanish, Swedish, all number 1. Yep, UK, US, Zimbabwean, okay, number 1 too. Yeah, Australia needed a little bit more time, but they were at number 3. Austria's number 1, Belgium's number 1, Canada's number 1. Yeah, pretty much everywhere it was charting. Like it was just some countries were just needing a little bit more time, but it was going off. But yes, we will definitely be talking about more on their next 2 albums, because yes, by the 3rd album we had lost a member, but within 10 years we was able to see them back again and be able to see them just reunite, and as of now they are very much great. I think that what it is times have changed, and you know, we as individuals and even celebrities, we get to a point where, you know, we look at things and we just say to ourselves, we did that. We can still be able to appreciate and show the things that we did for the reason that it is even there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and video, and I'll be back with more.